Hello and welcome to Maths and Science 8. In this video, we'll be continuing with the Grade 12 Mathematics Paper 1 from the Gauteng 2023 Prep exam. And we will be answering 1.2, which is about solving equations simultaneously. But it's quite interesting because one of the equations is a logarithm. And then we will do 1.3, which is also a very interesting question. Let's get into it. Question 1.2 says solve the following equations simultaneously. And the first equation is a squared b squared minus 2ab minus 8 is equal to 0. And the second equation is log of a plus 5 to base 2 is equal to 3. So to do this, we must start with the log equation. And we need to change it from the log format into the exponential form. And to do that, you must remember that if you've got an exponential equation like b to the power of y is equal to x, b is the base of this exponential, and y is the exponent. Now, if you want to write this as a log, it means that you must make y, which is the exponent, the subject of the formula. And then you apply the log. The log will have the same base as the exponential number, and then the argument of the log will be x. So even in the log format, you can recognize that what is on the other side of the log must be the exponent. And then the base of the log is the same as the base of the exponent. Here we can see that 2 must be the base and 3 should be the exponent, just like y in this example. Therefore, this must be equal to a plus 5. So we know that 2 to the power of 3 is 8. So 8 is equal to a plus 5. And then we transpose 5 into the left-hand side. So we'll have 8 minus 5, which is equal to 3. So 3 is equal to a, or a is equal to 3. So we can now call this our equation 1. And then equation 2 is going to be a squared b squared minus 2ab minus 8 equals to 0. So we will take this as our equation 2. And now we can just simply substitute equation 1 into equation number 2. So let us do that on this side. So this is now going to give us 3 squared multiplied by b squared minus 2 into 3b minus 8 equals to 0. 3 squared is 9, so we'll have 9b squared minus 2 multiplied by 3, which is 6b, and then minus 8 is equal to 0. And now what I am going to do is I'm going to let b equal to x, so that in place of b we can just simply write x. So we'll have x squared, x there, minus 8 is equal to 0. And the reason I'm doing this is to avoid ambiguity. Now we can see that a is equal to 9, b is equal to negative 6, and c is equal to negative 8. And I was avoiding this because in the quadratic formula, we have got the letter b, which represents the coefficient of the middle term. And also, we usually use the quadratic formula as x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. So now you can just simply substitute in all of these values into the quadratic formula and then solve for your x values. So you are obviously going to have two x values, and then after that you can conclude that each x value is equal to b. So that is how you can do 1.2. I'll just leave it here. So I will just leave it here for you to complete it. Now let us just move to 1.3. 1.3 says if p is equal to the square root of x plus 2 divided by the square root of 16 minus x squared, for which values of x will p be real? Okay, let's think about what are real numbers. And let us relate that to the equation of p that they have given us. Well, the first thing to note is that p has got terms which are under a square root. For real numbers, if you have got a square root of a, then a should be greater or equal to 0. That is because in real numbers, we do not have a square root of a negative number. So in order for a square root to be real, the number should either be greater than 0 or it should be equal to 0, because the square root of 0 is just 0. Since p is also a fraction, if you've got a fraction, for an example, a over b, then it means that b should not be equal to 0, because in real numbers we cannot have a denominator that is equal to 0. Or in other words, we cannot divide a number by 0. As you know, if you violate these conditions, even when you are using your calculator, it will give you a maths error. So these are the things that we need to take into account in order to answer this question. So this basically means that x plus 2 must be greater or equal to 0. Therefore, this means that x should be greater or equal to negative 2. That one is easy. And now for the denominator, must be greater than 0. Since it is also a denominator, it cannot be equal to 0. So unlike with the numerator, 16 minus x squared must only be greater than 0. It cannot be equal to 0. So we need to solve for this inequality. We have a difference of two squares, so we can factorize this. So the square root of 16 is 4. The square root of x squared is x. And then we can write a positive and a negative. And then we need to find the critical values. So the critical values can be given by 4 plus x is equal to 0, or 4 minus x is equal to 0. Therefore, x is equal to negative 4, or x is equal to positive 4. And then we can use the number line method. So we have got negative 4 and we have got positive 4. So these are our critical values. So our expression is equal to 0 for these values. Okay, now let's determine the sign of our expression for values of x that are less than 4. For an example here, we can just simply use negative 5. And then for values of x that are between negative 4 and 4, we can just use 0. And then for values of x greater than 4, we can just use positive 5. So now let's just substitute in these values into the original equation. So what is 16 minus into negative 5 squared equal to? Well, that will be 16 minus 25, and 16 minus 25 is negative 9. So our expression is negative for values of x that are less than -4. Now let's substitute in 0, so we'll have 16 into 0 squared, and that will simply give us positive 16, meaning that for values of x that are between -4 and +4, our expression is positive. And now we can substitute in positive 5. And obviously this is gonna give us -9, just like the first calculation. So it means that for values of x that are greater than 4, our expression is negative. And we are looking for the solution of an inequality whereby 16 minus x squared is greater than 0. So greater than 0 means positive. So our solution lies between -4 and 4. So we can write this as, so x is greater than -4, but x is less than 4. So that is the solution for this inequality. And just like that, we have taken into account both of the conditions that would make P real. But now we are not gonna leave our answer like this. So basically, we need to find the intersection for these solutions. The best way to do that is with a number line. So for the solution, we will do another number line. On this number line, we are going to represent the solutions from both of our inequalities. Our first inequality was x is greater or equal to -2. We can show that in a number line like this. If this is -2, so greater or equal to -2 means that we should shade that 0, and then we must show an arrow which is pointing towards positive infinity. This shows that x is greater or equal to -2. Now we need to present the solution of the second inequality. So for the second inequality, we have got -4, and we have got +4. For this one, our inequality is between -4 and +4. So now, the question is, where do we have an intersection between these two solutions? So this is going to be where the white line for the first solution is coinciding with the blue line for the second solution. So this is the intersection. Therefore, we can now write our solution as x is greater or equal to, remember that we have shaded this to show that -2 is included in the solution. So x is greater or equal to -2, but less than +4. And here 4 was not included in the solution, or we did not have or equal to. So this is the final answer for this problem. And obviously, you can alternatively write it in the set notation as x is an element from -2 with a square bracket to show that -2 is included into 4 with a round bracket because 4 is not included in the solution. So that is how you can do this question. I am going to link a PDF of these answers in the description so that you can freely download it if you would like to do so. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe to the channel. And if you've got any questions or you would like to leave me some feedback, please comment below. See you on the next video. Goodbye.